Hey folks, just have to try and show you this area. If you're familiar with my videos, you know I try and get into some areas and show you what they're like, but this truly is, I would pretty much say, the most spectacular bushland I've ever been in. Again, it's the Upper Nepean State Conservation Area. I'm just near those localities of Kangaloon, Robertson, sort of Tourist Road, Kangaloon Road, Southern Highlands. And again, I don't want to brag, but you can't come in here, unfortunately. You got to get a permit to come in here. No one gets to see these areas unless they've got a permit. It's all water catchment, and depending on your opinion, yeah, that's probably a good thing that no one's allowed in, or a bad thing. But it's absolutely spectacular. It's I've got trees now to about 40 metres tall. We've just come down from some sandy country up there, which was really interestingly, it was all Eucalyptus seabori. It was all Eucalyptus seabori and rich sand country. But now we've walked down here, and one of Sydney's major rivers, the Nepean, is just down here. It's just down this hill. But can you believe the Nepean in this part of the world is a creek about 3 metres wide. It's just down here. But I really want to showcase this tree. Like the Eucalyptus obliqua, it's dead set one of my favourites, and it's this one right in front of us. And again, I'll just try and give you a sense of scale. They go up and up and up and up and up. We're probably not, really huge, but we're probably pushing 35, 40 metres, I would say. Definitely here in this sort of enriched gully, just down in the Nepean. And this is the headwaters of the Nepean River, and you can find them here pretty readily. How do I do them? You just got to get your eye in for them. They've got sort of a fibrous, in between, I guess, sort of a stringy bark and a peppermint maybe. So they're like a mahogany. They're like a mahogany bark at the bottom. And I should look all this up before I film, but I got no idea if they're sort of related to mahoganies. But that's sort of the bark. And as you go up, you got bare branches up the top. I know you won't be able to see that, but as you go up, normally halfway up the tree, I sort of link this one to Pilularis. You go halfway up or a fair bit of the way up, and you get bare branches up the top. And this is a beautiful brown barrel, Eucalyptus fastigata. Now, there's one thing which I'll try and find that totally nails the identification, but I've got to try and get my hands on some leaves. Do you know what's going to happen? I'm walking over to this tree here, which I think is Eucalyptus obliqua. So that's here as well. Obliqua's here, but fastigata's here as well. I'm pretty sure that one there's an obliqua. But look, I've got to try and get hold of some leaves lower down, and then I've got to find some flower clusters. So I'll do that and I'll come back. But this is an absolutely gorgeous spot. As we know, in a forest like this, it can be really hard to get hold of the leaves. But here's a juvenile tree. I do have to be really careful here. I was filming those fastigatas, and right next to them are beautiful big obliquas, beautiful big messmates. And they grow together here really beautifully. But fastigata, it puts on these really strongly, I was going to say venated, but leaves with strong venation. Got to make sure not to make up my own words. Really strong venation. So that's one thing I look for. The leaf almost reminds me of some of the wattle leaves. Maybe a wattle like Acacia binavata, which is here too, but something like that. It's got these really prominent veined leaves. And these would sort of be sort of semi-juvenile. But you just get this really strong venation, and I always look for that. You know, this one's got an oblique base like obliqua, but you can see that the next one doesn't. It's got a nice even base. They're discolorous. Well, these juvenile ones are anyway, or maybe these semi-juvenile ones. They're nice and discolorous. And you got that strong venation. So that's the thing I look for with fastigata. Now, these aren't a very good example of what the adult leaves look like, but that venation I find is pretty distinctive on brown barrel. I might, while I'm here, there's plenty of them around. I'm just going to pull this branch over. This is more what I associate the adult leaves to be like. And yeah, maybe, you know, 2-3 centimetres wide. They're not overly long a lot of the time, maybe 10-15 centimetres long, but that might vary from place to place. And that's what the adult leaves tend to look more like, and they do have that, again, that strong venation. They're still very, you can see they're very discolorous. Very discolorous there from side to side. Brown barrel, it's a tree that likes the good life. It likes the fertile soil and the montane areas. It likes the high rainfall. If you know Mount Tomah Botanic Gardens in the Blue Mountains there, west of Sydney, all through the gardens are brown barrel trees. They're the sort of remnant trees growing all through the gardens. And I think they go as far north as the northern tablelands of New South Wales. So they're up and down the tablelands of New South Wales. I forget how far south they go. They might go into Victoria. I just can't think off the top of my head. And I'm not sure if they go to Tasmania as well. They'd be one of those trees that probably does, but sorry, I'd have to look that up. But they're down here in the Southern Highlands. Really loving the good life. Now, if I can find some, even if they're older fruit clusters on the ground or bud clusters, I can show you this really cool feature which sort of nails the ID. I'll just see if I can find some scraps lying around. Hey folks, back again. It's always the way when you're trying to demonstrate something, isn't it? And you're just struggling, looking around, trying to find what you need. But I've sort of got just a bit of a miserable example, but it's here anyway. So I've got a very degraded branch of fastigata at the base of this tree, but it's just got enough for me to demonstrate. Can you see? Now I know the leaves have gone. You got to remember that the leaves have fallen off. They're up there, but they've gone. But in the leaf axils, where the flower clusters are produced, the umbellasters, fastigata produces them in pairs. It produces these paired flower clusters. And look, I've got a really good photo and I'll whack it on at the end of the video. But it produces these paired flower clusters or paired umbellasters. And it is one of the only eucalypts that does that. These flower clusters in pairs. And that's the feature for fastigata. That's a concrete feature. I'll try and find some fruits if I can. Now, I know when you've got one, it sort of means one's fallen off. But just look for where they're paired. And if you see those paired umbellasters, it's a pretty concrete feature for fastigata. And that's what I like about it. It's a beautiful tree. They're massive. And they've got this awesome paired umbellaster feature. And it's just what I like. It just makes it easy to ID. I should try and find some fruit and show you those as well. The buds are generally in, I think it's 11 to 15. I think they're higher than the 7 mark, I think. It might be 7 to 15, it might be 11 to 15. I'm pretty sure I've seen them with well beyond 7 buds in the flower cluster. There's another straight, tall, beautiful big one here. So I'll just see if I can find some fruit. Everything here is just really degraded. Had some rain as well. It's summer, things are sort of breaking down quickly, but I'll see what I can find. just beautiful patches to meander through, fastigata patches. Just got a Lamandra, Acacia binivata, sort of sub-story or mid-story and ground layer. I am just noticing a lot of these fastigata, they've just got sort of miserable looking canopies a lot of the time. I don't know if that's because of too much rain over the last couple of years or what, but just struggling to find some things. Don't want to labour too much too, but just some repetitive sampling as we do in botany. This one you can just see there. 2 umbellasters in the leaf axil. See that 2, that pairing? And then I know that's got 1, but this is a very decrepit branch. Some of them have fallen off. Just make sure you check your representative samples, but that's a really good indication there. Just 2 in the leaf axil. If you get them nice and fresh, this will be much easier for you. I'm just struggling a bit here to get them fresh. But there's a fallen branch here. The umbellasters have been sort of aborted. They were developing, but they've sort of fallen. They're well and truly degraded now. I'm just gonna turn that one over, but hopefully you see what I mean. I'm just not, having a very good time here trying to demonstrate it, because just got some decrepit material. But even there, you can see, where are we? There's 1. Where's my finger? Yeah, you can see 2 there. So even though they're really degraded, 2 flower clusters. So you just got to look for that to confirm your ID. It's a great feature for fastigata. Looking at some more here. But I'm sure you get the idea. But I've got a photo of nice fresh ones, and I will throw that in, at the end of the video. I'll throw that in just so you can have a good look. I can see on these bud clusters that the buds are well and truly above 7. So they are getting into that, I'd say that 11 to 15 bracket. But even there, even though that's not even recognisable as a bud cluster, you can see two shoots there coming out of the leaf axil, which I guess that was a really early stages of umbellaster development. So I'll show you the photos I have to finish the video off. But if you're ever in Eucalyptus fastigata country, this is what you're after. They're just absolutely gorgeous. You might think there's something like, if you're a Sydney person, you might think there's something like Pilularis to start with. If you think they're Pilularis, you'd be on the right track. That's sort of what they resemble. But I'd say the bark goes up a lot higher. They're straight and tall. The bark goes up a lot higher. You do get creamy branches there up above. I don't know if there's any point zooming into that, but you do get creamy branches up above. And the sunlight tends to sparkle off the leaves. And you've just got to start looking at the leaves on the ground. Get hold of some sapling growth if you can. Check the venation, because the leaves are very different to Pilularis. And then if you can find those paired umbellasters, you're on the right track. The fruits would be helpful, but I don't really go for the fruits. I go for this venation on the leaves, just the general appearance of the tree. Have a good look at this venation. Remember the discoloration, on the leaves, just strongly discolorous. So it does have that sort of mahogany feature. And Pilularis, that's pretty discolorous as well. But just look for those paired umbellasters, and it's mainly going to be your habitat. That's what the bark's doing on this one. You can see it's very soft. Probably softer than a stringy bark. It's got a real peppermint sort of feel. That's how beautiful fastigatas. And if you get into fastigata country, you are going to get some leeches. You're bound to get leeches. There's leeches everywhere here. But that's all part of it. You just get these beautiful Lamandra microlina meadows. You get rainforest mid-story sometimes. All through there is just a ton of them. And, you know, we're just having lunch here on the Nepean. Just beautiful. You can get into the Nepean headwaters around Kangaloo and Robertson. There's probably some areas you can get into. Unfortunately, this area here is off limits and we've got to get out of here now because our approval ends today. But yeah, it's a really beautiful spot. There are some properties around here that have this vegetation. There's some farms, rural residential properties that do have this stuff. So hopefully they can serve it because it's quite beautiful. Alrighty, that's the beautiful brown barrel. Hey folks, just some value adding here. It was a really nice spot in the video, but I just couldn't get really decent material off the trees. It was just one of those things that happens sometimes. But here's some photos I took about 10 years ago, very nearby to where I took that video. So I've sort of been observing these trees in this beautiful spot for about 10 years. But there you go. There's the paired umbellasters there again. So they're nice and lime green where they're developing, and you can just see consistently what they're doing there. And no other eucalyptus species, really need to take this with a pinch of salt, but no other eucalyptus species apparently does this consistent pairing of umbellasters in the leaf axils. We would have maybe, probably had a leaf there subtending this one like we do here. No other eucalyptus species does this. Out of the 800 species, I find that hard to believe. Why does this species do it and none other? I've got no idea, but probably need to do a bit more research. But I've read that this is just a killer identification feature because you don't get any other eucalypts doing it. I might backtrack on that, later on, but probably need to do some more research, but that's what I've read. So it's a really cool concrete ID feature. Just another example there. You can see the leaf venation again, the nicely, what we call spaced, really distinctive venation. Makes it look like a little bit like a wattle phylode. It's really cool. You can see there again, and they're in 11s to 15. So the buds are in the 11 to 15 bracket. So you can count these and you can count about 10. That might have about 8 or 9. That's got about 8. So some have fallen off. But if you get nice, intact, fresh ones, you should be in the 11 to 15 bracket. If you get the fruit as well, I don't have images of the fruit. I've been a bit lazy in photographing the fruit. And look, it's one of those species where, I'm sort of even a bit unfamiliar with what the fruit consistently look like in the wild, because I see this and I see the leaves and I see the trees in their habitat and I know when to expect them, and I just don't bother looking at the fruit. It's just one of those eucalypts where if you see this, the buds doing that, and you see the trees and you're familiar with it, you just don't bother looking at the fruit. So it's one of those species where I'm going to have to look at the fruit and get more familiar. There's images online, websites like Euclid. They're sort of piriform with a raised disc to sort of conical. So have a look, make sure you have a gaze at them. But if you pick up the fruit, they'll be doing the same thing. You'll have some fruit here and you'll have some fruit here, depending on how they've developed. But this is probably better to see in the flower bud stage, but I have seen it in the fruiting stage as well. But yeah, I need to get some images of the fruit when I can, because I hardly ever bother to look for them because I just don't need to. This is it in flower and just coming into flower, I guess. This was taken in January, I believe. So that's when I saw some trees in flower, but about 10 years ago. You can see the bud cap coming off there. What's interesting is just how short that bud cap is, or the operculum, or the calyptra. I just like to link everything to everything and go, oh, it reminds me of that. They sort of remind me of the bud caps on Corymbia maculata or Corymbia gomifera. They're very short, and the hypanthium looks like it's a lot longer. But that's a bud cap there. So it looks like they're pretty short. I'd say this is about probably 6 mil across, 7 mil across, something like that. Might be as small as 5 mil. But there you can see the pairing just there. So there's a paired cluster. There's another cluster. It looks like they're well below 7 flowers now, but that might just be the way they've matured. Whether the buds decrease in number as the umbellasta develops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, looks like this one's breaking off as well. So maybe it reduces its bud flower number as it sort of matures. But you can see the pairing there. You can see how they're paired together in the flowering stage. It's pretty cool. All right, so that's probably enough for fastigata. It's definitely one of my favourite eucalypts. I rave about it, and the habitat it grows in, just some of the best bushland you'll see in New South Wales. I know this video is carrying on a bit, but this is how much I love these trees. I was going to try and finish the video last night and upload it. I've come to a second site today at Fitzroy Falls. It's sort of a bit southwest of where we were yesterday. This is a private property, and this is an incredible hillside of fastigata. You can see my son there in the footage. And check out this tree. It just goes up and up and up. This is absolutely incredible. This is a private property with a basalt hillside of Eucalyptus fastigata. Just incredible. Looking onto Fitzroy Falls Reservoir. And these are 40 metres up. Absolutely incredible. You couldn't be more blessed with this sort of property. And here, no problems finding material. Absolutely no problems. And I've shown you enough the paired umbellastas. But what my son found, which is absolutely great, I'm going to drop I've got the fruits, and there they are, and you can see how they're still paired. Just notice that the number's gone down a lot, but there's the beautiful fruits, and there's the pairing. Just going to juggle it. So they're quite distinguishable. You can see that raised disc. Looks like they're going to have 3 valves. They're still in the ripening stage. And you can see the numbers are pretty low. It's sort of like a lot of those, maybe this is a species where, yeah, it puts on 11 to 15 buds per umbellasta, but maybe because they're paired and maybe because they're pressed for space, maybe only a handful make it to the fruiting stage. You know, maybe it just reduces its resources and only a few make it through. But I'm sure I've given you more than you need, but I'm just so in love with this tree. And this property has just totally complemented what we got yesterday. So, exactly what I was talking about. I mean, this one here is just... I got no idea. It's pushing 40 metres, I'm sure. We had some messmates further down again. We had some Eucalyptus obliqua. I keep thinking I'm finding leaves on the ground of Eucalyptus quadrangulata. That's another one you can get here. And we've also got Cypellocarpa again. I'll have to make a video on that one. They're just incredible. Alrighty. Hopefully you'll fall in love with it as well. What a property.